Hello, we are looking at a meme endgame knight build using Shield Bash, and we're gonna just try this in just one boss. The timestamps will be in the description if you just want to jump around. But just kind of looking at our gear, there's going to be room for improvement, but just kind of trying this out. I have Knight Affinity from my master points. Big thing here is going to be the Knight 400%, so that we're invincible during Lightbringer in case we slip up with Shield Bash or we get hit with an unblockable attack. It's our cushion against death, especially with the enemy attack deplete buff trials. And then all the excess Knight is for all just extra stamina. The monk is here for two reasons. Monk 600% to sort of help out with the break damage from all that non-elemental damage that's going on, and also if we come across a cactar, metal cactar, it'll just ignore their defense and slay them outright. But most importantly was the I can't even find it, the uh, monk 250%, so that when we parry, like when our shield bash hits an attack, not just the enemy, but it hits an attack, the parry is going to last about 10 seconds by default. So that's more parry MP recovery for us that fuels our shield spam, shield bashing spam. The Void Knight 600% is so that we get the haste so that we can shield bash even faster and create less of an opening, or at least that's the hope. Side effect is also we have the Void Knight 250% that helps the MP recovery just a little bit. The Berserker, we have this for two reasons. For the 400%, so that during Lightbringer we have some MP trickling in even when we miss our shield bash or we miss the parry. And then also for the Savage Awakening, the Berserker 250% for the protect and shell, so that when we do get hit with like the unblockable hit or a second attack, that it doesn't hurt as much. Or it doesn't deplete our Lightbringer as much, unless it's like enemy attack deplete buffs, then we're out of luck anyway. The Hunter 400% is because I don't always trust that I'm going to parry. And so at a bare minimum, I'm going to get some MP back in order to do the next shield bash. And that is the hope. So that the Hunter, there's room for improvement. If you want to go a bit more aggressive, you could stack Knight to get even more stamina or something else. The Dark Knight is here for the near death. Dark Knight 400%. And then, just as a little bonus, I chose this over Catnip accessory because if I'm targeted, as well as the 120% and the 50% effects, those little contributions do help out with the break damage dealt. The Paladin, instead of using status ailment resistance, I decided to do Paladin 400% so that I can fit more like strike break damage dealt or during Lightbringer break damage dealt on my gear. So I have Paladin 400% for the status ailment resistance so that I don't get silenced, paralyzed, petrified, or poisoned. And then as a small little bonus, the Paladin 50% and 120%, I get a bit more break damage when I'm at max HP. Looking at our gear effects, I have the damage dealt shield bash across everything and MP cost shield bash across everything. Even though there's other ways to play this, this is the way I'm going to play this. Then I have stamina and during Lightbringer break damage dealt where I can across my gear. And then all of my gear is, except for one, all of my gear is Alexander Relic so that I get even more stamina out of my job and based on the percentage. But my shield, and we'll talk about why the spirit's still there, it's because I don't have anything else that's like break damage dealt that's good for my sword. Uh, I have strike break damage dealt um, where I can instead of spirit, so that I'm going to risk it all when I get hit with a magic attack. I have two chances to survive a magic attack, maybe three. And then if they get through my shield bash parry, if they get through my interception, and if they get through my lightbringer, then I deserve to die. So that's the trade-off here. And yes, so I have Carbuncle on the shield so that I can get, we'll call it an instant relief on the parry when I do parry. So that's the idea or the goal here, is just having Carbuncle on the piece that doesn't contribute as much on the stats. And I am wearing a two-piece gear set because I was trying to get 750% on the other um, on the whatever the purple affinity is called. You'd think I would know what it is after all this time. Um, Ultima. So yeah, uh, I have the values up, and I do have damage taken at max HP across my gear to get 100% or minus 100%, so that the damage I take is cut in half before Protect and Shell come into play. And I'm just going to flash through the rest of the gear just for reference. Uh, and then for my accessory, I am using Dragoon 400%, or the Sovereign of the Skies, so that during Lightbringer I attack about 15% faster, also move 15% faster. But the idea there is that I offer less of a gap for the enemy. This easily, or even better, it could have been Yoichi's Bow for to get Hunter 400% instead, so that I don't have. So that way, I actually get like Dragoon 400% would have served me better, because then if I damage an enemy's HP and I happen to break him that way, Dragoon 250% would break the enemy, or soul burst the enemy. But I don't have, surprisingly, on my PC save, I do not have Yoichi's Bow. Um, oh, I'm sorry, one more thing on the gear. I do have interception on my sword instead of investing in sword fighter 400%, so that I can quickly put up interception. So I will apply that, and that's my safety net. If I mess up on a shield bash, interception will go off. It'll be so fast that interception might not even play, but I'll see interception buff has worn off. Sorry. And that'll be my indication of, oh crap, next opportunity I have, I need to reapply interception, because now any attack I get hit with is going to go against my Lightbringer. And during enemy attack deplete buffs, that's really inconvenient. So that the interception is my safety net for that. Looking at our command abilities, we have the star of the build, Shield Bash, and the stat bonus scales off of, I'm sorry, not scales, but the stat bonus is stamina, so I am dumping a crap load into stamina where I can, and the attack type is strike, so strike break damage dealt does take impact this. Bravery is there because even though it says increases damage dealt, it also increases break damage dealt as a result of the increased damage dealt. I have Lunatic so that I can shield bash even faster, and I'm not worried about the break gauge recovery because I have Lightbringer, and then even if I didn't have Lightbringer, I still have Berserker 120% and 50%. That's kind of helping me out between all the spams. Let's look at the second job. I'm probably forgetting something, but we're just going to look at, oops, that's not the second job. We have our monk, and the monk is here for a few different reasons, but let's look at Cyclic Warrior 600%. When you trigger a Lightbringer, you also trigger Soul Shield, and the Soul Shield will increase our max MP to help us do the next Lightbringer. And we have the Void Knight 400% that reduces the cost of our Lightbringer by about 25% by itself. 34% with the formula, but 25% is what it feels like based on the actual formula calculation. Void Knight 120% and 50%, so that the increased MP limit boost rate, you get more MP, max MP for a Soul Shield. And then the Evoker 120%, and the 50%, the interaction with Cyclic Warrior 600%, turns this into something that increases Jack's max MP and MP. Probably a bug. I reported it twice, never got fixed. We're going to keep it in and just, and if nothing else, it helps our allies recover MP. So it just works. I know that's not very helpful. And then just separate from the Lightbringer spam, but something that a lot of us like at endgame for convenience is the, I'm on the wrong one, the Summoner 400%, so that every time you do a Soul Shield, which is now every Lightbringer, you recover, you refresh a little bit of the duration. So if you're just kind of in between boss fights, you might refresh the duration like 5 to 9 times or something like that, just to get all of your separate buffs going. In my case, I'm probably just going to reapply buffs, but it's a bit of a convenient thing to have. I also have Summoner 600% so that the Leviathan primary blessing at the bottom right corner, when I do Soul Shield, I get even more max MP back. And this helps when you're facing trials that reduce your max MP MP recovery, that kind of thing. So I have that there just as a convenience. And then also for the world map, I am benefiting from Summoner 120% and 50% so that when I chain cancel, which is when you switch jobs during an animation like of an ability. So you press the change job button, and it counts as a chain cancel if you press it before the animation ends of a combo ability or a non-channeled job action. Um, and we'll kind of keep talking about this. I have Paladin 400% because I didn't want to fit status ailment resistance on the gear this round, so I'm immune to silence, paralyze, and petrification if I do need to reapply Lightbringer in the middle of a fight on the job that has all the Lightbringer duration stacked. The monk is just here for giggles. I just left it there, but I'm not benefiting from this specifically on this build. The White Mage 120% is there to help out with buff duration so that my Focus, Bravery, and Lunatic last about 20% longer. And then the Gambler 120% is here as a preference that I like to have. So when I do chain cancel, I recover MP based on my luck, and that helps when I am co-oping in the Rift, which I rarely do these days. um, and what's the word? If I'm on the world map, or if I'm in a slow Rift that's not timed, I can chain cancel my way to more MP. And then I have the Lionheart accessory for the Invincible, which is how I'm going to stay alive if I accidentally get hit on Monk. So that's the Knight 400%. I'm immune during Lightbringer. Oh, sorry, let me rephrase that. I don't take HP damage during Lightbringer except from falls. Like if I fall, then I take damage, and I think even if I'm poisoned, I might actually take damage, but I can't remember. Um, Probably should have checked that before I said that. Anywho, across our gear, we have improved effect Bravery and Focus, Lightbringer Duration, Luck, because I like the chain cancel, and where I can, Buff Duration. I do have some damage taken at max HP, just as a remnant in case I get hit. Um, and then I also have Carbuncle, so that I bring out even more luck out of my job. But I have at least one Leviathan. It's usually on my gloves for some reason because I tend to find really crappy low blessing gloves. So Leviathan is like, oh, here you go, um, across my gear. And then, just because I don't like waiting too long, I do have charge time reduction focus. If I had probably a little bit more space, or if I changed this up a little differently, I would probably put Red Mage to 50% so that I reduce my charge time. But I didn't do that this round for some reason. It's probably because I liked the haste. So we'll count the haste as a benefit. Oh, pardon me. And then let's look at our master points before our allies. So I leave one master point unspent because I like to pull the job up right away. I have stamina maxed out on my knight. Knight Job Affinity for Knight 400%, and also the extra stamina you get once you go over 800% or all that good stuff. I have ability break damage dealt instead of the other ones because I can consistently benefit from the ability break damage dealt. But I also have a sprinkle of parry damage dealt because if my shield bash parries, the hope between monk 250% and the parry is that I'm going to get the benefit for like 10 seconds before buff duration trials. Sorry. I have a sprinkle of parry HP recovery, although I don't actually need that because Knight has parry HP recovery as part of one of their like job tree things here. So I don't need that. Oops, oh my gosh. I don't actually need that point there. But I am stacking a crap load of parry MP recovery so that that's trickling in and recovering. And then the Void Knight 250% helps recover just a little bit more. So it's pretty nice. And then I don't have anything else. But then on our monk, whoops. The monk, I'm stacking luck for the gambler chain cancel. For some reason, I have a lot of damage taken at max HP because my builds keep changing. But if I do get hit, I might survive that hit that might hit me for 7,000 damage when it's cut in half, which is a lot. But I still might survive with this amount of HP. Lightbringer duration so that my Lightbringers last even longer. I am switching this around to Soul Shield MP recovery so that when I do my Lightbringer spam and I have a lot of max MP, I might actually get enough to get a full bar or all 6 bars. But I probably need to push that like a little higher to like 30% or something like that. But most importantly, for the Lightbringer spam, we have increase MP limit boost rate, and that's going to help your soul shields recover even more max MP to fuel your next Lightbringer. And just kind of a heads up, if you're watching this video and you're not job level like 270, 285, 300, you are going to lose max MP, but that's not going to be too much of an issue because you can summon or you can chain cancel with Summoner 120% and kind of make up the difference pretty quickly. Um, and then we have buff duration so that we don't have to reapply focus and other buffs as often or as long. Just as at a glance, we have other jobs. I'm sorry, if you're using NPCs, I recommend Neon, first of all, as a knight. And then Ash is either a Liberator or a Berserker. I chose Liberator for now just to get a little bit more spirit. But I did not optimize Ash to be... Like, he's not even... Oh, actually, he is using his axe. I did not optimize Ash to be stamina and spirit because this was for another build. So I'm not overhauling my gear just yet. That might be a project for a different time for stamina and spirit. But most importantly, I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit. Why we have the NPCs, if you choose to use them, is for Liberator 600%. You get 12% of their stats, even though it does not show up on the UI. So if I had to do Ash over again, he would have Liberator and Knight across every single piece of gear, just so that his stamina is stacked even higher. But I was like kind of doing a Berserker, a Spellzerker build, so that's why he has a mix of stamina and strength. Mostly the strength was for that build. But stamina is what we want across the build. And oh my gosh, I'm really messing up here. Cyclic Warriors, anything beyond 800%, and Berserker, anything beyond 800%, and even Liberator beyond 800%. They all offer a good chunk of stamina. Knight beyond 800% offers the most stamina, And depending on the job you pick, some jobs don't get as much benefit from these different effects. So this is why Berserker or Liberator would work, uh, but I chose Liberator for now, uh, compared to, say, Tyrant or Pugilist, where I'm losing a lot of stamina just because of the job itself. Uh, for survival, I have Lionheart or the Invincible. If I had Knight stacked up, I wouldn't need Lionheart, but I am using Lionheart here. In fact, I think I screwed up on this build, and she's using Lionheart anyway. So that's a mistake, but it's there, and I'm just not going to change it for... I'm recording now, and I'm not going to do all this again or edit all this good stuff. Whatever. Let's keep going. Try to keep this under 30 minutes. It's a meme build. uh, Actually, it's still an effective meme build, but it's a meme build. Uh, let's see. So Lionheart, Invincible. When you press the direction pad left or right, or a D-pad left or right, your allies activate Resonance, and during Resonance, they benefit from well, pretty much most of the Lightbringer effects, except for Berserker 600%. That does not refresh Resonance for some reason. Um, Probably a bug. Whatever. Keep going, Ben. Keep going. So during that time, they do not take HP damage, and that's why I am stacking Lightbringer duration across the gear so that that resonance lasts even longer, and the hope is that they survive as stat sticks, because once they die, uh, I lose access to the Liberator 600% effect. So I want them to stay alive, and I am going to resurrect them from time to time. Um, on the gear, they have stamina and Lightbringer duration, and ideally, for this build, they would have Spirit. Not the strength that's on here, but I'm not redoing his gear for just this one build. Uh, and then we have uh, Leon. We have Neon, and it's pretty much the same thing, just across the gear. She has stamina, spirit, and Lightbringer duration. I don't expect any of the allies... I'm not wearing that helmet. I don't expect any of the allies to actually contribute very much in combat. Uh, I don't even want them to be distractions, because I want the enemy to stick to me so that I can shield bash them and so that I can parry their attack. Because if they're not attacking me, I don't get a parry, and that's bad. So there's Leon. Accessory, that would get changed out with almost anything else other than Lionheart, because Knight 400% is already covered on her gear. Anywho, we are going to go in. I am intentionally turning up the max HP and break gauge max trials again so that the UI reflects accurately. I'm sorry, so that before the video, the UI reflected how much HP and break that I actually had. I don't think I usually do this in a build video. I keep forgetting to show the special effects when they're just stacked up like this. Uh, Oh, I screwed up on the damage taken at max HP, so I have more than I should somewhere on my gear, and that could turn into even more break damage dealt if I really wanted to, but we're not going to do that right now. Let's focus on this. Focus, Ben. Parry MP recovery. We have just a bunch of different effects. And then at the very end, we have some damage dealt shield bash, and we have a lot of MP cost shield bash. And the reason why I have that much is because command ability MP trials friggin' suck for this build. So, and we're not using Chaosbringer. So yeah, command ability sucks because now your shield bash costs 160 per bash before reductions. So we have that up. We're going to go against our favorite boss, Tiamat. We just love her so much. Totally haven't spent 100 hours fighting her across the last 2 years. That would be weird. I'm sorry. The routine here is that we are chain canceling. In the world map, we are chain canceling our way to full. In the Rift, you're going to drink a high ether or a mega ether before you get into the actual rift. Like you're in the lobby and you drink a mega ether or a high ether or an elixir if you have the guild to spare, or a mega elixir. Um, and then we chain cancel our way up to full max MP if you're in co-op, or it's an untimed rift, or you're in the world map. And then we try to do Lunatic and Bravery and charge up Focus, not necessarily in that order. So I am still going to do it in that order just because Focus is like the buff that takes the longest to reapply. So that was quite a chain cancel. So I Lightbringer, D-pad left and right, job action on the knight, interception, and then I just shield bash until something really bad happens. Like, if I see interception has faded, I know that bad things have happened. Whoops. So I got hit pretty bad here, and now I'm not even having Lightbringer. Let's reapply a bunch of stuff. I messed up there. That's okay. Let's reapply our knight job action. Make sure interception is up. I am not going to try to shield bash through that. Oh, actually, quit so I don't have to sort through the gear. I know that seems crazy. I wonder how much of that gear actually made it into my inventory. Good, nothing. Yeah. You know it's bad when you're like trying to avoid gear. Um, but let's take off some of the trials. Let's just make this a little bit less less crazy. So this is what the build might look like without the trials, because in the Rift you're going to have even more. I'm sorry. Maybe we will look briefly at the Rift before the end of this video. Whoops. Let's do this first. So without trials, this is how fast she goes down. And I don't have to worry as much. I did lose interception, so at some point I did get hit at least once. And yeah, that's how it kind of goes. Um, just kind of a heads up, your fingers will get tired because you're pressing the button a lot more often than other playstyles. Uh, so yeah, just sort of a heads up there if you have any type of repetitive injuries, or if you're feeling any kind of discomfort or fatigue, do not shield bash your way through it. Just find another build, or something that doesn't hurt your hand as much. So I have not actually tried this in the Rift yet, but I would have Bang. I would, whoops. Let's see, who would I have? Probably the last one would be anyone that helps me out with some type of boss break damage, or maybe Flan. So I'd have the bomb out for stamina, and also the damage dealt to bosses, which is break damage dealt. I'd have Riddy out, or the skeleton, for also the stamina. And wait a minute. Oh yeah, no, that's different. Okay, And then I have curl out because I still need to work on my jobs on this, but I get some spirit, which is nice, and stuff like that. Monster quest efficiency is why curl is out mostly. Flan is out in case I need to shield bash a regular monster, and then bonus as your knight job affinity gets up there, you get even more stamina from that. Also, you get some HP that helps a little bit with Monk 600%. And then we have the Behemoth here for the combo ability stat bonus is the biggest reason why we have this. Because of stat bonus stamina, getting a little bit more of a contribution from that, and then also the damage dealt to bosses, helping out with break damage dealt to the bosses there. Bonus if you have your Liberator leveled up, which Ash can help us with that, so that we get even more stamina um, from our allies as well as just ourselves. But just kind of the heads up what your stats might look like in the Rift. I have an extra 100, like 40 stamina here, and then my allies they're sharing even more of their stamina. Neon is over 1,000 at this point, so I'm getting 12% of that. That's at least 120. Uh, we'll say between the two of them, that's 240 extra stamina that I'm getting towards anything that I need to do. So that's really nice. But yeah, trying to keep this video under what 30 minutes. That's too late. Oh my gosh, we're over 30 minutes. Yeah, I just found that feature out in OBS. But yeah, anywho, I hope this helps. Really long meme build. We'll probably post a shorter output video just on Reddit and Discord and Twitter or whatever. But yeah, hope that helps.